Hello, I'm Laura. It's May 6th, 2026, and these are the Saturday Heartlines. The Saturday Heartlines are a time of reflecting on the theme and topics of the past week to see what message arises for us today. And the message that comes up for today is to keep on keeping on in following our dreams. And how that came about begins with Sunday when we introduced the weekly theme to keep on keeping on. And this theme was inspired by the rescue workers in Laos who have been helping to bring 7 young men out of the caves who were caught by an unexpected flood in those caves as they were searching for gold to supplement the income of their families. Well, 5 of them have been rescued, and even today, 2 weeks after they originally got stuck in those caves, the rescue workers are continuing to work using satellite imagery to find new passageways and new shafts and air holes, and continuing to pump out the water, not giving up until there is a certain resolution for the 2 young men who are still missing. And what courage that takes. Which brings us to Monday, the courage to participate in life. And we looked at the story of a young man named Shrey Parekh, 14 years old, who on his 4th try for the National Spelling Bee won the spelling bee this year. He had come close on 2 tries, and the 3rd try he didn't even win his school spelling bee to move toward the National Spelling Bee. But he kept on keeping on with his own practices and his own development of skills until he was able to follow his dream and make it a reality. And we also looked at another dream that became a reality for Bill Schwartz, who ran his first full marathon at age 90. On Tuesday, we looked at seeing and being what you want to see and be in the world as we reviewed 3 stories. One was regarding the war in the Middle East between the United States and Israel and Iran and the stalled peace talks there, and how we can practice more peace in our lives to bring it into the world. And another story was the courage of the doctors who are working with the people in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and how we can bring that kind of courage to life in helping others in our lives. And the third was the continued search for those 2 young men in the cave of Laos. And we can continue to hold them in our hearts and send our thoughts of love and courage to them. On Wednesday, we had a heartwarmer. And the heartwarmer was remembering that June is Pride Month. That June is a time of realizing that all people deserve our respect. All people deserve an equal status in our society. All people deserve to be looked at with an appreciation for who they are in expressing who they are. When we can live in a world like this, we no longer have to fight each other or hold people on the fringes of life or think of others as less than or greater than ourselves. So to remember Pride Month is a blessing for our LGBTQ plus community, at least we hope it is, but certainly it is a blessing for all of us in remembering this. On Thursday, we looked at keeping on with compassion. as we considered some of the difficult conditions that have been reported from the internment centers for immigrants in the United States, situations of unsanitary conditions and overcrowding, and children who have been interned for a long time, and how important it is for us to continue to have compassion for everyone involved in those situations. On Friday, we looked at the Middle East again, and the war that is not a war, at least not officially, because the United States has not declared war as a full government on Iran, and yet a war of sorts continues as the firing continues back and forth. But in the face of that, we also considered the peace that is always peace, the peace within ourselves, and how we can let that light of peace within us radiate into our world, our relationships, and we can hold our nation's leaders and people all around the world in our hearts in peace. And that brings us to today, to keep on keeping on with our dreams, because our dreams include compassion and respect for ourselves and others. And so we are going to be in touch with our dreams right now in a moment of quiet contemplation as we take a deep breath and close our eyes and focus on this idea. I continue to follow my dream of living in a world where compassion and respect for myself and others are valued, and in so doing, I make these values real every day. I continue to follow my dream of living in a world where compassion and respect for myself and others are valued, and in so doing, I make these values real every day. And so it is. So I wore my butterfly t-shirt today to remind us of the painted lady butterfly who migrates 9,000 miles from Europe to Africa and back every year, or of the monarch who migrates between 6,000 and 7,000 miles in a round trip from Canada to Mexico and back. These delicate creatures, many of whom lose their lives along the way, keep on keeping on until their dream of reproduction and of a world full of butterflies becomes a greater reality. So let us keep on keeping on, and let us make our dreams a greater reality every day. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day.